Listen to how absolutely insane this deal is. Now, this is where all of this gets really, really messy. Howdy, y'all. I'm Brylan. So Dr. Phil could be in a lot of trouble. Like, I'm talking prison time trouble. Yeah, it all started actually with this. When Dr. Phil partnered with TBN to launch his own network standing on America's core values. And in this video, I'm going to show you how Dr. Phil partnering with the largest Christian broadcasting network in the world could potentially see him going to prison. Sounds like Dr. Phil needs to be the guest on his own show. Now, I know some of y'all watch Dr. Phil as, kind of a guilty pleasure. You loved all that drama. You don't have to hide it. In fact, you're like, they ain't gossiping. It's straight from the horse's mouth. And to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, some of those people he had on his show, they had some horse teeth, you know what I'm saying? Hey, if you get value from this video, would you consider hitting that thumbs up button? When you like this video to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. Now, this all started in 2023 when Dr. Phil partnered with TBN. McGraw, Dr. Phil, who announced earlier this year, 2023, that he was ending his daytime talk show, Dr. Phil, after 21 seasons. In fact, for a long time, Dr. Phil's show was the second most popular TV show behind Oprah Winfrey. That was in the early years. And then it became the second most popular show in its final seasons, right behind Live with Kelly and Ryan, still drawing several million views per episode. So it's not like he stopped doing his show because it was tanking. It's actually because he says that God wanted him to speak out against the woke mob. But I want you to notice that this new venture that he's doing with TBN was a new company called Merit Street Media. It's my new network, but I've got some news that I want to share with you about that. This is actually not my network. It's our network. This is something that's going to be focused entirely on what's important to you. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to do? And Dr. Phil is going to be on prime time. So Dr. Phil was planning on bringing a whole host of ideas to this new network, and it was all backed by Trinity Broadcasting Network, a Christian-based network. Dr. Phil claims to be a Christian, and actually recently, Dr. Phil's been sort of based. In fact, it was on some of the final years of his show on Dr. Phil, before he stopped it, where he revealed some of his more conservative views on family issues, immigration, education curriculum. On his show, his network will most likely follow suit. In fact, immigration's an interesting one because, Dr. Phil actually went on a bunch of raids with ICE agents to pick up illegals. I have a whole video covering that story. You can go watch it. What is happening to Dr. Phil? In fact, look how the mainstream media is losing their minds over Dr. Phil going on ICE raids to pick up illegals in Los Angeles. By the way, this is why I use Ground News, because they show you how the left and the right are spinning the news. Look, the left is saying Phil McGraw doubles down on his role as a MAGA propagandist amid ICE raids in Los Angeles. So picking up illegal criminals makes you a propagandist. Okay. And the right is saying that Dr. Phil, the former co-light of Oprah Winfrey, became pro-Trump. Stop guessing who's telling you the truth. Ground News shows you exactly what mainstream media outlets are being biased. Their blind spot feature shows you when the left or the right isn't covering the news that you should know about. You can also see who owns each news outlet. And if you go to ground.news/Brylan or scan the QR code on the screen, you can get 40% off the same Vantage plan that I personally use. Thank you for supporting the sponsor of this video, Ground News. It helps me to continue to bring you daily news videos that you can trust. Fast forward to July of 2025, and Dr. Phil's media company files for bankruptcy, sues TBN for breach of contract. The Fort Worth-based company claims that TBN failed to live up to its contractual obligations as the controlling shareholder of Merit Street, leaving the media company funded founded by McGraw with over $100 million in debt, according to the lawsuit filed. So Dr. Phil is claiming that TBN are the ones to blame for the bankruptcy because they were the controlling shareholders. They were the ones making the decisions. Now, this is what's being claimed, is that shortly after the network was formed, however, TBN reneged on its obligations and abused its position as the controlling shareholder of Merit Street, the lawsuit states. One of those alleged abuses includes causing Merit Street to enter into expensive distribution agreements with third parties that cost upwards of $2.6 million a month, with total expenses of nearly $96 million. These failures by TBN were neither unintended nor inadvertent, the lawsuit read. They were a conscious, intentional pattern of choices made with full awareness that the consequences with which to sabotage and seal the fate of the new but already nationally acclaimed network. In fact, it says the suit also alleged that TBN provided shoddy production services such as teleprompters that suffered from frequent malfunctions, including blackouts during live Dr. Phil episodes before studio audiences, and a sub-industry standard control room that ran out of a temporary setup in a truck. It goes on to say that despite the partnership with TBN, Merit Street Media would not be a religious network nor feature any of TBN's staple Christian programming. Almost like this entire thing was doomed to fail in the first place. Now fast forward to today, and Trinity Broadcasting Network accuses Dr. Phil of scheme to fleece the network. Now it's TBN that are saying that it's Dr. Phil that was scamming them. It says Dr. Phil McGraw could face sanctions in an ongoing legal dispute with Trinity Broadcasting Network following a $500 million partnership. What? Now it goes over how TBN and McGraw struck a deal and everything that we just went over, and TBN became a majority stakeholder in the company. But McGraw sought this deal with TBN after deciding to part ways with CBS amid concerns about censorship. McGraw reportedly said, "I don't want the snot-nosed lawyers telling me what I can and can't say on TV." He got sick of the radical left trying to control everything he said. Listen to how absolutely insane this deal is. It says, according to Variety, TBN's suit claims that McGraw had agreed to produce 160 episodes of a 90-minute program, in exchange for $50 million a year for 10 years, but that McGraw had yet to produce a single episode of the program. That is very interesting, because one of the things that Dr. Phil's side claims is that as they were shooting episodes, that there would be major blackouts during live studio audiences. But yet TBN is claiming that not a single episode has ever been produced. But let's not skip over the fact that $50 million a year times 10 years is $500 million. That's a $500 million to Dr. Phil over the next 10 years. Keep in mind that TBN's income is not exactly known for sure. In fact, the annual revenue for 2023 was reported to be around $81 million. But listen to this, with a total expense of $935 million, indicating a significant deficit. Yeah, I would say a little bit. However, in 2020, they made about $96 million, including $49 million in contributions, but reported a loss of nearly $27 million. In 2019, now this is where things get interesting, their revenue was reported to be almost $1 billion. Largely because of a one-time transfer of $860 million in assets from Trinity Christian Center of Santa Ana, along with $30 million in donations and $24 million from airtime sales. To see their regular numbers, like what they are typically getting year to year, from what it sounds like, to pay Dr. Phil $50 million a year is just insane. Like, there's definitely some money that we don't know about here. Now, some estimates are saying as of 2025, revenue was around $355 million, Very interesting. While another source claims that revenue reached $750 million as of June 2025. Now, if they're pulling in these kind of numbers, they could pay Dr. Phil $50 million to do his show. I don't know, maybe TBN overpromised on what they were going to pay Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil wasn't delivering anyway. So they're both not happy with each other. Now, TBN also claims that Pitesky and McGraw misrepresented how much McGraw's show would cost to produce and how much ad revenue it would generate. According to TBN, after the launch of Merit Street Media, it became clear that McGraw and Pitesky could not deliver the viewership numbers, product integrations, or advertising revenues they previously promised. Dr. Phil's views had been going down in the last several years of his show, but they still weren't bad by any means. And then you take 2-3 years off, and Dr. Phil hasn't really been in the spotlight hardly at all, except for when he ended up in the news because he did the ICE raids. Like, what do you expect? A lot of people, I guarantee I'm going to get comments on this video of like, Dr. Phil, who's that? TBN just didn't like the fact that there was a lack of viewership, product integrations, advertising. Dr. Phil just wasn't bringing in the money like they had hoped he would. So TBN wanted to just wash their hands of it. Pay these debts. We'll give you majority. You can go do your thing. However, TBN claims Merit Street Media filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which came as a surprise to TBN because it still controlled 2 of the 3 directors on Merit Street's board, and they didn't have any idea that it was happening. Now, TBN countersued Dr. Phil, and in an effort to shift blame for their failures to TBN, Pitesky and McGraw accused TBN of breaching its obligations under the contract and not providing Pitesky and McGraw with the resources they needed to produce content. And they claim all of this was done under false information that was given to TBN by Dr. Phil and his team, basically leading TBN to believe something that wasn't true. In fact, they go as far to say that the suit alleges that McGraw and Pitesky engaged in a years-long fraudulent scheme that they developed and executed to fleece TBN. Now, TBN goes on to use some Christianese to say that they're confident that the truth will set them free. Now, one thing that's catching on is that Dr. Phil could be sanctioned soon to answer for this scheme that TBN is alleging. They have questions for Dr. Phil, and this isn't going to help them because bombshell texts in Dr. Phil case appear to reveal brazen and problematic bankruptcy scheme to kickstart new media company. This is what's being claimed, alleged, okay? That the documents produced to date demonstrate that this bankruptcy was conceived as a scheme to divert the debtor's employees and intellectual property to Envoy, a competing business that Dr. Phil founded the day before this case was filed. Now, this is where all of this gets really messy. Text messages unveiled during the discovery in the contentious legal battle involving Merit Street Media reveal executives of the Dr. Phil McGraw-led company attempting to conceal a bankruptcy scheme in order to shift assets and staff over to a new media venture. The Christian broadcaster filed an emergency motion seeking sanctions against Dr. Phil's production company. TBN was joined on the motion by professional bull riders. Super random, right? But they were a part of the original deal. The TKO-owned sports league that claims Merit Street owes them $181 million after reneging on a 4-year deal by failing to make payments. So all of these different ventures that were under Merit Street, these different shows and broadcasts that they were that they had signed deals to make a part of the network, they were owed money and they did not get money. And so this is very messy. Seeking a hearing Wednesday afternoon over its call for financial sanctions, TBN said in its emergency filing this week that Pitesky's failure to hand over discovery material and documents had left it woefully unprepared for its deposition of Dr. Phil. By its own admission, in a meet and confer between counsel on August 26, Pitesky still has not produced all of Philip C. McGraw's emails and text messages, despite his deposition being scheduled to begin in less than 48 hours from the time of the conference. Nor has it produced any of the documents concerning Envoy. Now, it's interesting because TBN, self-professed, Trinity Broadcasting Network, a Christian broadcasting network, teamed with Dr. Phil, but said that it's not going to have any type of Christian content or anything. They're going to pay for it, back it financially, but none of it's going to be like Christian content. Very interesting, isn't it? It's almost like it was doomed to fail from the beginning. Look at Proverbs chapter 10, a wonderful chapter in Proverbs, talking about righteousness and the benefits of righteousness, what you gain from righteousness. Listen to this. Look at verse 2. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death. Verse 6. Blessings are on the head of the righteous, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked. In everything that we do, we should strive to do it righteously, honestly, truthfully, and allow God to bless it as we honor Him through anything and everything that we are pursuing. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you on a regular basis. And please hit that thumbs up button. When you like this video, to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.